Thank you. I understand that, but you don't with this customer that's not knowing the pulse of their community.
What we got? What we got? Present. Okay, good idea. It's different from the last one.
Very slick. Red Oaks.
All right,
How are you? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrea Gordy. I'm a project manager with Douglas Development. I know, thank you. I'm here with Jessica Bloomfield of Holland and Knight and Julian Looney of Antunovich Associates. We're here to talk about 4201 Oakey Street Northeast. That's Papa's Tomatoes building. We had been here before, back in January, to talk about the project initially and our BZA modification. Today we're here to talk about a very, very, very minor modification. So
as you all are aware, we received BZA support to provide 0 parking spaces on site. That was last March because we already had an over 1,000 parking space garage across the street. We are now here for a minor modification. We are not changing any, we're not adding any areas of zoning relief. We are actually reducing the amount of parking relief that we need. We are simply here because the zoning regulations require us to come back and get a modification of the plans that were approved by the board. There's, like I said, no zoning relief to be had. We previously received zoning relief for 223 parking spaces. We now need 70 parking spaces, so it's significantly less. Hopefully this can be an easier decision than the previous one. To answer any questions, we can walk through the plans if you'd like to, otherwise we can move on and answer any questions.
Just what accounts for the dramatic decrease?
Well, we switched to office use.
Nope, it's the new zoning regulations. Significantly less parking is required for the same uses under the new zoning regulations, way less. So that's the reduction. The same number of parking spaces are going to be provided in the parking garage across the street. That's already been constructed.
And how are you going to program that space that you're switching from?
It'll be office.
Office space. Okay. Pretty simple.
Pretty straightforward.
very, very much.
And our BZA, it's a meeting, it's not even a hearing, it's just a small modification. It's on Tuesday of next week, so we would hope that you could make a decision this evening and put a letter in the record by Friday.
any other questions from commissioners?
Pretty straightforward.
Commissioner Lewis, hearing this motion.
I'm brain dead, so I don't know what motion to put. Who's been listening, please put that motion.
All right, I'll put it on the floor. So I think we're gonna move to support your minor modification and the understanding that you requested for the smaller number of parking spaces across the street.
From 223 to 7.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
223 to what?
70.
Any further discussion or questions?
It's just a modification. Yeah.
Over here, any questions from the audience?
I think
Seeing- Sir.
Is there like gonna be parking that these office workers are gonna be able to pay for in park somewhere?
Yes, there's an existing parking garage that's on the Heck Warehouse site that has 1,060 parking spaces, so that's for all the uses that are developed or in development right now.
Seeing no further questions, we're ready for the question. All for the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed. That motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
5-0. All right, and the last, please correct me if I'm wrong, the last item on the agenda is item number 16, relative to 1701 8th Street. Thank you all so much for your comments.
Hello all, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for having us. Just real quick, I'm gonna reacquaint you guys with the project. We've been here before. We're at the project on 17th, Benning and 8th Street. We are planning to go through the PUD process to build 180 units along all three sides. As part of the PUD, we're presenting we have the communities and a benefits package. We presented this to our SMD multiple times through some of our several meetings. As a result of this, we're going to be making drastic improvements to the public space along 17th and Benning. We're going to be improving the sidewalks. We're going to be contributing 4 feet of private property to public space. We're going to be making improvements to the alleys. We're adding additional sidewalks along H Street, tree boxes, and we're also proposing to add a community room in the first ground floor level of the building, which we don't have programming for. One of the thoughts we had was a meeting room for the ANC. We've since revisited that, and it sounds like the community may want to sort of program that space how they see fit. We're open to that, so we will provide the space, and more than happy to have community input on how that space is being programmed. That's on the first floor, approximately 600 square feet. We are seeking relief in 2 areas. One of them is parking, and the second one is loading from a 55-foot truck. That's the project in a nutshell. We've been before the zoning commission already twice, and here we are coming back after they've asked us to come back to the agency, so here we are.
Could you just give us a quick recap of the zoning commission hearing?
Absolutely. So we spent a lot of time talking about the colors of the facade. There were some comments about the brick being too dark. There was lots of comments about the programming for the roof. One of the commissioners had a problem with sort of loud music and noise, so we've scrapped some of the programming. There was a TV that's been taken out. One resident that lives up here had some questions about loading as far as how the vehicles are going to come in and out of the alley. I'm meeting with this gentleman personally on Friday of this week to talk about how the loading is going to impact him. We will be planning to open up the rear of his property to the alley, which he currently doesn't have access to. So I'm sure he'll be thrilled to hear about that. And then just the general comments about additional ANC support.
Well, I did submit a single member district's letter of support, and so, go ahead, I'll entertain any questions.
So
You're done with your presentation?
we are done.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that 17 across from the Happy Jamal?
It is. There used to be a liquor store called
Where
Lucky
the Lucky
Sevens.
7 used to be at, right?
That's right. Well,
Okay.
it's Lucky 7 used to be literally right there. That was taken down by the previous person we acquired the
So
property.
that, they're gonna be apartment building there?
Yes. The site was also used as a gas station back in the 60s, so there's also some heavy contamination that we would be removing prior to construction. So that's also part of the redevelopment of the site as well.
Did any of the commissioners have any concerns about the height?
The question about the height was brought up. We mentioned that we've spoken to our 2 immediate neighbors up in this area, and we have letters of supporting that. We are in line with the comprehensive plan, so they basically left it at that. That was not a real big issue on the zoning commission.
Okay. How many units?
180.
How many, so that equates to how many residents?
It's 180 residential units. So, I mean, if you figure, 2 per, or 1.5, whatever the statistical average is, so, I mean, you're looking at probably 250, hypothetically speaking.
So how many of that for people with disability and low income?
So this project has affordable housing. It currently obviously doesn't have any because it's just a vacant piece of land. The affordable designation is, if I recall correctly, it's based on the density. It's not based on the units because the final units are going to be determined upon the zoning application. So it's 8%, if I recall correctly.
8% of the residential gross floor area will be reserved for affordable housing. Half of that number, so 4%, will be at the 50% AMI level, and then 4% will be at the 80% AMI level.
So the one caveat that we are currently exploring is adding, there are no market rate 3-bedrooms in this building. We are actually looking to putting in affordable 3-bedroom units in the building. The layouts are not set yet, but we are exploring that, and we feel, I think we'll get there. So
Is
we're
that
Can I
based
say-
on comments from the zoning commission?
No, that's actually based on comments that we've done on 2 other projects in different wards. Is that when we've had discussions when we said we bring in affordable, they're like, well, can you guys beef up your affordable package? And we've said, why don't we look at other housing types? And then, so that's our way of addressing that concern, is to bring in the 3 bedrooms at the affordable.
And I do want to give Commissioner Henderson credit because she really pushes on the affordable. I don't know if you recall, but when we first came here, 20% is what was being proposed at 50%, and now we've increased that from her pushing to 50% is at 50%.
We did get somewhat of a sort of a brief applause to that because a lot of the PUDs are not doing the 50-50 on the market rate PUDs. They're sticking to the 80% AMI, or they'll add 1 or 2 units. Half of our units are going to get 50% of the affordable.
Well, I want to thank you all for your patience and your continued engagement. And I think it's a little disheartening that you would have to come back here after engaging with the community on so many times and coming before this commission. I would proffer a motion, again, just replicating the letter of support that I sent you, indicating overall support for the project with the concern about the height. So I would, and I'd ask for a second.
I second it.
Any further discussion, commissioners? My only question is, what has been the, you know, I watched that hearing pretty closely.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of feedback that was shared about massing, height, that we talked about already. Could you just address how you responded to, there's a fair amount of opposition that was shared from the community and is on the record, and how you've already were about.
Sure. So there were 2 main ones. One of them came from the residents that actually live in this, so they're in the background, set of row houses on the back. They grouped and they formed a petition. They were under the impression that we were actually acquiring their property and actually raising it and putting this in its place. I'm not kidding. That was actually one of the things. So I reached out to her directly. We're meeting at Starbucks this week at 6 o'clock to discuss it. Simple answer is we're not taking away any housing. We're not demolishing anything. We're not building anything under.
And I would like to attend that meeting because we've had several community meetings and these residents did not come to those meetings.
Yeah, so that's the main concern, and then the second one was from the gentleman up here. He just wasn't sure on how the loading is going to impact the back of his property, and I'm meeting with him directly to discuss that, to address those concerns.
And he also just has some general development concerns because he's considering moving up vertically with his property and wanted to be sure that what we were doing wouldn't preclude his ability to do that.
He had a
So just
concern
clarification.
that these windows would not protect or preclude him from putting up an addition. These were put in at the request of the Office of Planning and the Commission.
Is that,
They're
what
at
building
risk
is that on 8th Street?
8th Street.
Okay.
That's on 8th Street, so that's where the Lucky Seven was.
Yes, the Lucky 7 was right here.
Was right there.
Yes.
So who had a problem with thinking you was gonna raise the property? Now, what is that?
1, 2,
I think it's
3.
the third one.
The
right?
third one over, so it was this gentleman up here.
He thought you was
That's
gonna
Mr.
raise.
Fleming?
Atkins. No, he felt that us putting this here would preclude him from doing an addition to his building.
A rate.
Why would-
So, well, he was concerned because there's windows and you typically wouldn't be able to build with the property line, so maybe that would preclude these people from building, but
Yeah,
we were
but
saying
not-
they're at-risk windows, and so it's on us to remove them should any of these neighbors go forward. It would not affect their rights at all. So it's just really a clarification
In
issue.
any event, I'm reaching out directly to him personally, I'm just meeting with him at his house.
And what neighbors thought you were gonna raise their property?
The row houses that are along the Benning Street Road, it's a single ownership apartment complex that's been there since the 30s.
Okay, that's about the recent homes, it's their apartments, okay,
They're-
just make sure, yeah.
Their apartment.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to acquire those properties?
No, we as a company, I personally don't engage in TOPA properties. I fundamentally have it's against what I do philosophically. That's not what we do as a
Okay.
company. That's not our business. This is our third gas station. That's our business.
Now, is anything,
The hassle is different. We don't displace people. I don't mind taking out underground storage tanks. I don't want to.
No, I completely
yeah.
understand. I'm a
Yeah,
so
housing
you're-
advocate, so
you're
I
familiar
can
with that.
appreciate
It's our third one.
okay, cause that could be,
It's onerous, very expensive.
yes.
The permitting process is like 6 months just to get permits to do it. But it needs to be done. There's a lot of sites in the city that need to be cleaned up, and this is one of them.
So you're prepared no matter what you see to keep
We-
going, okay.
This is our third one. We know what we're getting into.
It's been moved and properly seconded.
Commissioners, how many, just by show of hands, how many commissioners, am I hearing that you would like the commission to adopt your letter at the
Yeah.
start round, is that correct?
Yes.
Just for sake of clarity, commissioners, how many of you have read that letter? The letter that Commissioner Anderson's referring to. I just wanna make sure the commission is aware of what's in it.
Do you have a copy of the letter with you?
I don't, unfortunately.
Or can we just issue, you can. I
It's a
typically-
simple-
No, I typically just send over the letter to the chair, and if we decide tonight we're going to support the project, just send over the same letter, he reviews it, edits it, as long as it's in support, it doesn't matter.
No edits are needed. It's simply a
But we're not
letter,
even going to get
Commissioner, it's a letter of support, general support, for the project, with the only concern about the height.
Okay,
That's it.
so we can
Overall,
send
we're
over
very
such a letter.
supportive of the project.
So Commissioner,
It's an excellent project. We just have concerns about the height.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, commissioners? All for the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Let's try that again. I'll raise your hand if you're for the motion. Was it, are you raising your hand?
Well, listen, could we see the letter?
Typically-
Well, can the motion state that the
Just
letter
take-
can be edited?
Or, I don't think we have to mention the letter at all. Each commissioner typically sends over the letter to the chair that they want to use anyhow. Because I've been told that I need to have my own draft, so I've been submitting my own letter. So Commissioner Henderson can submit her letter, and before he sends a final version, she gets to review it and approve. That's the process. No one has written anyone else's letter because I didn't want to write my own.
I just asked that question.
I'm just
want to be
saying.
difficult.
Just take out that it has to be your exact letter. You submit whatever you want to it.
No, I'm not gonna take out, it's the letter indicating that it's generally supportive of all aspects of the project. The one concern is that stop. That's it, it's very simple, very straightforward. Now, if you wanna continue to be difficult, then don't vote for it.
Although we would like you to.
I'm about to go home. My kids are home, you know.
Point of reference, or anything about removing the windows if other people that decide to build up?
We're required
It
under
would be
the
required.
district regs.
So there's a motion on the floor to adopt Commissioner Henderson's letter as the commission's own and submit it. There was a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so just to make sure I got this right again, please raise your hand if you are for that motion. 1, 2. Ms. Blackman, Commissioner Blackman, are you voting?
Don't worry, I'll attend the next hearing.
If you are against that motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are there any? Would you vote?
They just wanna be difficult.
No,
It's okay.
Okay.
It's like that Republican thing.
Right, Commissioner, we're really just trying to get stuff done.
No, you're not, you're not.
I
You've
do
seen
have,
this
I do
project
have a
since
question
April.
though.
You're not trying to get things
I do
done.
have a
Okay, so
question.
then-
How's
so
it
hold on.
different than us all sending our own letters anyhow? Because
It's done, don't worry about it.
So that motion failed, so now I'm gonna offer a motion to support the project, with the same language we've used in past letters. I'm happy to share that in advance, that notes the height issue. Is there a second to that motion?
Can she write her
I
own
second
letter
that
like I'm
motion.
forced to write my
You
own
see how
letters?
difficult they are? It's called Republican obstructionism.
Been moved and seconded, all for the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. All again, are you raising your hand or no? I can tell.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh, okay, I got 3 yeses, all against the motion, please raise your hand.
Can you
All
repeat
against
the
or for?
motion?
Could we repeat the motion?
Sure, I'm sorry, so, okay, so my motion, I should get this right, my motion is to support the project as it was described, noting concerns about the height. That is my motion. Is there still a second, Commissioner?
I have a question.
We'll do discussion with Rick.
I second the motion.
Moved and seconded, discussion.
Okay, our typical process is that the commissioner drafts the letter. I've been forced to do that, so will Commissioner Henderson be allowed to draft the letter?
No, this is obstructionism.
Can you, thank you.
Oh.
Can
We
she
can't
be
have
allowed, as
obstruction.
our typical process, be allowed to draft the letter?
That's a discussion or a question?
That's a question because I have been told repeatedly that the letter must come from the commissioner. Like, no one wants to write the letters for me.
Would you like me to state, since I'm an obstructionist and Republican and everything?
It has nothing to do
wait a
with
minute, let me ask you a question. I cannot trust Commissioner Henderson
No,
because
you can't
No,
be
she's
trusted.
not doing writing the
can I
letter.
say my,
No,
can
no,
I
no.
say my,
Listen,
can I
no,
say
be
my,
quiet.
You
Can I
be
stay
quiet
it?
to the
Can I stay
process.
it? No,
No,
not the
that's not
process,
fair.
not the
The letter is
process,
submitted to the
Not the
chair, and then
process.
he
I'm not
edits it.
talking about the price.
You can't,
I'm not talking
we're
about the
talking about
process.
opposite oranges
I'm
now,
not
which is
talking about the
unfair.
process.
We're
You don't
talking
even
about
understand the
opposite
process.
oranges
I'm
now,
not talking-
that's
I'm not
unfair.
talking about the
The
process.
letters are always submitted to the chair, he edits it, it as needed and then sends it back to the
No, they
commissioner.
just
So
wanna be
my
able to say that they
question
wrote a
is,
letter.
can Commissioner Henderson submit her letter for him to edit or do what he chooses?
So just to be clear, I think there's an implication that I am interested in editing a letter. I do not. Let me finish. I don't have
I'm
an
not
interest
saying
in.
you do.
Okay, well, I just want to be state up front. I have no interest in editing anybody's letter. My concern is, I don't remember what was in Commissioner Henderson's letter. I think we also heard that others haven't read it. So I am concerned about adopting that as a view of the commission if no one has actually read the letter.
See, and that's,
So that's my only
and
concern.
see, and that's fair, but in order for me to vote for that, I think it's fair that she should be able to submit the draft version she wants, because that's been our policy. I don't want you to just like go create your own letter. Cause if that's the case, I'm going to expect you to create all my letters. And I have quite a few.
Any further discussion? All for the motion, please raise your hand. Aye. 1, 2.
You didn't answer my question.
Well, I gave the best answer I could, Commissioner. I don't-
So she will be allowed to submit her draft.
I don't know how else to answer that, Commissioner.
And I
really
can't,
don't.
okay, then take the vote.
All against the motion, please raise your hand. There are 3 yeses. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 yeses and 3 noes. Are there any abstentions? Okay, so now we are tied.
Will my vote count?
I wish you would.
I think we should just do what's normal policy.
So why don't
To
you-
be
That's too
fair.
much like right. Obstructionism is in the order of the day.
Commissioner,
Put forward a motion, Commissioner Rose, please.
I put the motion on the floor that we support the project with Commissioner Henderson submitting the draft letter to the chair, and he will give her a copy of the final version that is submitted.
Seconded.
That's the normal policy.
Any further discussion? All for the motion, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All against the motion, please raise your hand. Are there any abstentions?
Abstention.
That motion passes by a vote of 5, 0, 1. Is there any further business?
No.
Is there a motion to move to adjourn? Second, thank you very much. Have a